Alright, so today I wanted to bring you guys an updated Bruce deck profile after the sneak peek of set 4, The Awakening of Chakrabarthi, for my Bruce deck. So we'll just start off with the ride line. Pretty sure everybody already knows what Bruce does, but at the beginning of your ride phase, you final rush, so it does not work on the turn you ride him. But then you can Soul Blast 5 if you are in final rush when he attacks a Vanguard to stand your front row. The grade 2 is Diabolos Anger Richard. You can put the grade 1 Steve into Soul, or you actually just put any rear guard into Soul and you draw a card. And then if you are in final rush and he's on rear guard, he gets 5k. And then Diabolos Bad Steve. When he's placed, you move your starter to the back row and soul charge 1. And then if you are in final rush and it's on rear guard, it gets 5k. Occasionally that does come up if you call it off of a Leonard or a Derek. And then the starter obviously is like every other overdress starter. If you ride over it going second, you draw a card. So the ride line's good because it helps you build soul and draw cards. So getting into the deck profile, of course, the best new card that we got is the grade 4 in the new Bruce, Diablo's Unrivaled Bruce. So definitely I would say the worst of the grade 4s. Doesn't mean that he's bad. He's still amazing in his own right. And for his skill, basically, he does get the final rush at the start of your ride phase. Even if you ride him on top of the other Bruce, you don't lose final rush because the other Bruce gives you final rush before you ride this. And then once per turn, at the end of the battle, it attacked. If you are in final rush, counterblast 1 and soul blast 5. You stand your entire front row, and this gets drive -2 until end of turn. So with all of the grade 4s, they have triple drive into their icon. So when he restands, he still does get 1 drive check. Excuse me. So you do get 4 drive checks essentially off of this card. So it's really good. You still get to stand your entire front row. The only additional cost that you have is an additional counterblast. So really, it's still, the deck has an amazing pressure. I still think it's one of the best decks in the game and my favorite deck. I love the art on the new Bruce. So moving on, we play 3 of the original Bruce from the starter deck. We already went over his skill in the rod line. You still do want to run 3 so you can get your persona rides off if you don't draw your grade 4. Or if you know it's going to be a slower game where you need to out-resource them, you do still have the persona ride because the grade 4 does not have the persona ride symbol, so you cannot persona ride on him. There are games you do want to set on Bruce if you know it's going to be a slower defensive battle for you. And then I am running 3 Hellblast Full Dive, the order. You counterblast 1, draw a card, call a card from your hand to rearguard circle, and then if you are in final rush, your front row gets 10,000 power until the end of turn. So really good, helps you cycle through your deck, and helps you hit magic numbers to push for game. A really good card. And then I'm teching one of this, trying it out right now. If I like it, I'm definitely going to boost it up. It's been performing decently. I haven't really played enough games yet to see how much I like it. But in the games I have played it, it does seem to be working really well. And that's the new double rare from set 4, Diablo Striker Lyle. His ability, for those of you who don't know, is when he's placed, you counterblast 1 and it gets 5k. And if you're in final rush, you soul charge 2 and choose a card from your rear and call it to open rear guard circle. So it does give you card advantage, helps you get soul to refill for your Bruce turns where you want to be restanding your front row. If you're playing against a deck that retires your rear guards, like maybe Overlord, or even, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but the other Dragon Empire deck, it definitely helps you refill your field. or even if they're just attacking your rear guards. And then 4 of the best grade 2 in the game in Overdress. We're playing 4 Derek. He gets 5k if you are in Final Rush, and then a once per turn ability. Counterblast 1, put another rear guard in your soul when he's on rear guard. Retire one of your opponent's units for every 3 cards in soul. And then if you are in Final Rush, check the top cards of your deck equal to the number of open rear guard spaces your opponent has, and then you can either call them to rear guard circle or put them into your soul. So it helps you refill your soul, helps you refill your field. If your opponent doesn't want to call cards against you, it helps punish that. And it also is another thing to keep in mind. You cannot call the grade 4 of this if you're on the grade 3. So don't be dumb. I almost did that today. I was like, I'm an idiot. So don't do that. But definitely the best grade 2 in the game, in my opinion. And then still running 4 Leonard as well. Another really good grade 2. 5k if you're in Final Rush on rear. And then also on rear, when its attack hits, you soul charge 1. If your Vanguard's a Bruce, you choose up to 1 card from your soul and call it to rear guard. And when it attacks, if you're in Final Rush, it attacks all of the units in the column. So even if you attack a Vanguard, it attacks the unit behind it as well. If you're in Final Rush, so if your opponent does call a field, it's the opposite of Derek. You punish them for that as well. So you build up your soul for additional Bruce effects. You call units if you're running low on resources on your field. And it's a big swinger because it's getting the power boost as well. So a really good card. And then one of our finishers, just running 2 Diabolos Boys Eden. One of the original cards from set 1. A lot of people are cutting this card. I still like it. A lot of people think that how to beat Bruce is you rush it early. If they do rush you early, this card says if you're in Final Rush, 5k like all the other grade 2s, and when its attack hits, you counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards to retire it. So if they do decide to rush you early, you call this down and punish them for it. And then he also has another ability when he is stood. If you're in Final Rush, he gets +1 critical until end of turn. So if you stand him with either of the Bruces, he's swinging for very large numbers if you use your order or if you get a front trigger. And they must usually guard it because it has an extra critical. So definitely, I did not want to cut the card because everybody does try to rush this deck to beat it. So I like having the option of punishing them for that. Then moving on to grade 1s, we're running 4 of the PGs. The effect PGs, 1 or less cards in hand. You don't have to discard for the effect. Then we are running 4 Protobulb. When it boosts, if you are in Final Rush, counterblast 1, you put another rear guard in your soul, choose a card from your soul and add it to your hand. It can help you recycle perfect guards, can help you recycle Bruces to Persona Ride. If you are soul charged to grade 4 and you don't have it in your hand, it just helps you toolbox for any card in your deck. So a really good grade 1. I am still running 2 of the Dober to hit nice numbers. Its ability is when it boosts. After it boosts, if you are in Final Rush, you put it in your soul, choose one of your units, and it gets +10k until end of turn. Usually you choose the rear guard that you're not boosting the attack with. So you get 2 nice attacks off with that +10k power. Helps fuel the soul. Helps hit you those big numbers to finish out games. And then for triggers, running the Dark States over trigger. It's one of the decks that's not as important for as the other nations. You can run the generic over trigger to get 200 millions. There's over trigger just when you drive check it. Your Vanguard gets +10k and a critical for the rest of the game on your turn. Then obviously running 4 heals. 3 of the new draw trigger. If your opponent's at grade 3, it gets +5k shield. 4 of the draw triggers from set 3. After it boosts, put in a soul, choose one of your units, and it gets plus 2k. And then just 4 more crits. So that's the deck profile. Really loving the deck so far. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to comment down below what deck you guys are looking forward to most out of set 4. And have a good day.